Hey, these are honest thoughts on Till versus Gastelum. Now, this is going to be, I'm excited for this fight. It's going to be a crazy fight, just all together. There's a lot of things to go over in this fight. It might be a little wordy, but you got to stick with me. I gotta train. I gotta go in a thought. So, you have two guys. They both hit hard and they're both Southpaw. That's not a mystery to anyone. Now, the thing is, they're both Southpaw, and they're probably not going to switch their stances. They're pretty, I'm not going to say one-dimensional, but they have tools that they're really good at that they like using. Now, here's the thing. I looked up the heights before I made this video of several different fighters. I looked at Woodley, Gastelum, Cerrone, and Till. The source I saw, it said Till was 6 foot, Cerrone was 6 foot, Gastelum was 5'9", and Woodley was 5'9". Alright. Somebody's bullshitting because Till looks huge against all of those guys. He looks so either Cerrone's short, because Till, my memory of Till is just being huge against Cerrone. Not as tall as Woodley and Gastelum, but he looks enormous over Cerrone, but they're supposed to be the same height, so I don't believe that. But Adesanya is 6'4", and obviously Adesanya was huge against Gastelum. Now, I don't think that height difference is going to make that big of a difference in the fight, unless Till is taller, or they're the heights that it says online. So I don't think there's going to be this huge, discrepancy of, can Gastelum get inside, or, can Till keep Gastelum on the outside? I just don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Now, that being said, what's going to make a difference to me in this fight boils down to like 3 or 4 things. They're both tough as fuck, and they both hit hard. Even though Till's a big guy, they're both going to be at 85. So, and Gastelum was also having a guy that was having trouble making weight at 70. He's got that like Cormier build, round in the middle, just thick ass neck, big ass head. I mean, that head by itself is 45, 50 pounds, so that's like, a third of his weight. So, two guys, they hit hard. Gastelum is a wrestler. That's obvious. That's apparent. That's his skill first and foremost. But Till has shown to put stuff that, for the most part, against anybody. He really hasn't had elite level wrestling he's had to contend with, but at the same time, he stopped Woodley for the first 2 rounds from doing it, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that at least for the first 2 rounds, the wrestling, it may be a threat. Gastelum may shoot, but Gastelum seems pretty content to stand up with guys, And he seemed content to stand up with Adesanya, and Adesanya was taller, longer, had more pure striking experience. And he didn't try to take Adesanya down every 2 seconds. So I have a feeling that, at least for the first 2 rounds, that Till will stay on his feet, whether that's him stuffing... Oh, my bad, guys. There we go. Oh, too much. Whether that's him stuffing takedowns or Gastelum just not attempting them. I think Gastelum should, early in the first round, let Till stuff takedowns, but that's just me. The second thing this boils down to is Till has a very, very deep-rooted Muay Thai base in his style. It's a Southpaw Muay Thai base, so he's more bladed and those kind of things, but he still has the tools of Muay Thai, leg kicks, teeps, those fundamental elements. Now, I think if Till found his home for hard leg kicks, that might mess up Gastelum's game, because Gastelum primarily relies on his boxing. He uses very traditional boxing techniques. He puts a lot of weight on that lead leg, which can cause him problems, and that might be something. I don't remember seeing Gastelum ever had to deal with something like that in one of his fights. Maybe he has, I just didn't see it, and I don't remember. But that's definitely a weapon for Till. Anytime you mix up high-low, that's a weapon for you. And Till has fucking thunder in that left hand. He's got fucking thunder. But I think that's almost a disadvantage for Till. Till hits hard as fuck, no doubt about it. But he has all these other tools that we saw him use against Wonderboy. Wonderboy is one of the most creative, dynamic strikers in the UFC, and hard to predict, and Till had to bust out the whole toolkit so he wasn't getting predictable and wasn't getting countered. But he doesn't do that in every fight for whatever reason. He relies a lot on that left hand. That was his mistake with Masvidal, aside from his defense, which is something we'll get to. So if we're assuming Till comes out hot and heavy like he has in his fights, where he's had success, like he stuffed Cerrone because of how fast he comes out. It backfired against Woodley, but that's just something he seems like he really likes to do. Now, if he does that, he's not going to put Gastelum away in the first 2 rounds, for sure. Gastelum has, in my opinion, has better defense. And he always has the threat of taking Till down underneath one of his shots because he is shorter. And Gastelum has great head movement. Adesanya is not the quickest and most athletic guy, but for the most part, in the first 3 rounds, Gastelum was slipping jabs, crosses, all kinds of stuff with that fundamental boxing head movement. And that's something Till doesn't do. And Till can get set up for counterpunches because of that, because he likes to stalk guys, push them against the cage, and then turn around and drop that left hand on him. Literally twice, that's backfired on him. And his lack of defensive responsibility. To be fair, Woodley has some of the greatest timing in MMA, and Masvidal is, top tier. I don't know why that guy's not champion kind of fighter. But Gastelum can definitely hurt Till. Maybe the weight of Till going up will make a difference. But I don't think so. Not the way Gastelum commits. The way that Gastelum commits is ridiculous on that left hand. How he lunges in. Usually lunging is a bad thing, but Gastelum makes it work. And he's shorter, and he's got more mass and a smaller build. He's got those thick, powerful wrestler legs. Now that's the other thing. It's going to be harder for both guys to land those left hands because they're going to be in closed stances. And that's where I think not that Gastelum will have a striking advantage, but Gastelum's boxing base and those classic fundamental boxing style of slipping, rolling shoulder to defend shots is going to come in handy because they're in a closed stance, and using things like lead hand control and like those invisible elements in boxing and the feinting and those small subtle things that don't always translate to MMA, especially in an open stance with kicks. But in a fight where probably 90% sure both guys are going to be in a closed stance and they both like to drop the left hand, Gastelum's just better with his hands, period. And that could cause Till problems, especially because, for the most part, someone who starts in Muay Thai, their instant reaction, their first line of defense is that pull and lean backwards, and that's easy to take advantage of. I say easy. It's something that can be taken advantage of, either shooting underneath that pull, faking him out, and then going underneath, or making him pull, or just like Masvidal did. Till pulled on that punch, and Masvidal stepped in deeper, and he actually shifted stances also, and hit him with an overhand left, and put him away. Now, I don't think Gastelum's going to put him away in this fight, but he can absolutely hurt Till by making Till pull on a punch and then stepping in deeper to land another one. It's a hard fight to call. It's hard to bet against a wrestler, against a guy that we rarely have seen on the ground. So the fight, I think, can go one of a couple of ways. Either third to fourth rounds. I don't think it's 5 rounds. I'm not sure. If it's 3 rounds, third round stoppage is most likely. Or if it's 5 rounds, a fourth round stoppage from either guy. That's something you can expect to see. And if it's not one of those 2 things, then Gastelum might just lay on him for second, third, fourth round. He might find his home for the single leg or the double. Either one. Probably if he's taking Till down, it's probably going to be a double. Because the way Till just bicep curl Woodley off of him, put him against the fence and got underhooks and drove him in. Till's shown takedown defense. Again, we don't know how good he is at that. We don't know how it's going to, at least I don't, how it's going to match up against Gastelum. So Gastelum might lay on him or just have top control for a huge percentage of rounds, 2-3 minutes out of 2-3 rounds, to win a decision, or maybe rear naked or ground and pound or find a way to stop Till. So, if you're going by that gives Gastelum a few more options to win, in my opinion. Unless, Till really busts out the toolkit. Because Adesanya, that man, maybe I'm hyping him up, but Adesanya's a fucking wizard. He's got so many setups, so many tools, right hand, left hand, his stances change, his kicks change, he will throw a cross and then shift and then throw a left-legged roundhouse or throw a right hook and then throw another roundhouse with his same right leg. Like, he's got a lot of tools, got a lot of setup, and then Gastelum shut a lot of that down. Unexpectedly shot a lot of that time, closing the distance quickly. That's a big factor in that. And so I don't think he's going to be surprised by any tools Till has. He might be surprised by the strength a little bit if he gets clipped, but Till also, I don't never seen him use his right hand aside from in an open stance, stalking somebody, either trapping a hand or leading hand control, or ironically the jabs that he used against Wonder Boy. That actually stunned Wonder Boy for a hot second. And again, Till has all these tools. He can absolutely use his jabs. I never see it. I saw it the one time. He has these tools. He just has to remember to use them. And if he really is mixing up like that, I think he's more powerful, more athletic than Adesanya. And I think he can catch Gastelum off guard and hurt him and stun him. But I think both guys are going to be looking to land hard left hands and looking to get each other out of there. And if it's that kind of fight, I see Gastelum having a slight edge. Shout out to the guy that commented my last Adesanya Whitaker video. I make these because I have all these thoughts going through my head and I got to get them out. And it's just cathartic. But said some really cool stuff and I appreciate it. All right, I'll see you later.